on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Checkwitz. Welcome to the Kaged match, and this is the last AEW Dynamite review before everything went crazy and there were no crowds allowed at wrestling shows. And so this is for 3/11/2020, and you have Adam Page and the Young Bucks. They start out with an interview. I thought it was really good, man, because whatever they're doing with Adam Page and the Young Bucks, especially Matt Jackson, it's working. There's a little bit of intrigue there, and they're getting really good at building storylines up, and I love that. Then you have Ortiz with Santana takes on Cody with Brandy Rhodes and Arn Anderson. This was a pretty good match. I really like Ortiz and Santana. And Cody Rhodes, I think, is really coming to his own since leaving WWE. He's always been good, but he has gotten really good at storytelling in a match. At the end of the day, Cody does get the win here, but then you have Jake the Snake Roberts, of all people, come out, and he has a promo that he cuts where he's talking about Lance Archer, who is this guy who is coming in from the Indies. I'm not that familiar with Lance Archer. It sounds like he's a pretty big name from the indie circuit, though. So, very cool, man. Can't wait to see what he's got. Anytime they bring in new talent, I'm excited. So, very cool. Then Santana, of course, attacks. Matt Jackson and Kenny Omega come to the rescue. And that's where they leave off the whole bit. I thought it was really well done all the way around. Very fun. Then you get Chris Jericho promo with Jake Hager and Sammy Guevara. They've got Nick Jackson. They're in the backstage area, and they find him, and he's like head first under like a roll cage door. And there's a little bit of blood there, and they're good use of color, which you don't get in WWE for sure. So yeah, man, you cut. I think they cut the commercial, come back, and then they're loading up Jackson into an ambulance and taking him out. And I think the real story is he just had a kid or something, and that's why they gave him a couple of weeks. But very cool. Then you get Hikaru Shida versus Chris Statlander versus Bea Priestley and Nyla Rose. I'm sorry, Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander versus Bea Priestley and Nyla Rose. I do that a lot. Building up Nyla Rose, I've said before, I cannot gravitate towards Nyla Rose. I don't know what it is. It's certainly nothing personal. Just not into it that much. I will say that for a big girl, she can move. She can do some really cool stuff. I've said that before. I think for somebody her size, being able to do like swanton bonds and stuff like that, it is very cool to see. She is athletic, and I have to give her props for being. But just something about the whole shtick I cannot gravitate towards. At the end of the day, Bea Priestley, Nyla Rose, they do get the win. There you go. Christopher Daniels package after this. He's talking about, not joining the Dark Order, and he thinks that the whole thing with this, Exalted One is just a sham. So, yeah, that's kind of where that is. Then you get Butcher and Blade with the Bunny, plus MJF with Wardlow take on Jurassic Express. Good match. You had some really good sequences, of course, with Luchasaurus himself. I think the guy is incredibly talented. MJF, very good in the ring. I'm more prone to, when it comes to the Butcher and the Blade, I like the Blade a little bit more. I honestly hate the names, though. I really, truly cannot stand the Butcher and Blade as wrestler names. It falls completely flat on me. But at the end of the day, Butcher Blade and MJF get the win. There you go. Britt Baker cut the promo where she's kind of dogging out, I think, the entire women's division there. And Big Swole comes out and kind of checks her a little bit. So that was kind of a cool face-off because they haven't really done a lot with Britt Baker as far as, building her up and making her a serious competitor. They've given her some promos and doing this heel stick that I honestly don't buy. I'll be honest, I don't buy Britt Baker as a heel. She just comes across way too nice, if I'm being honest. So, Private Party and Joey Janela take on Death Triangle. you kind of knew the Death Triangle was going to win this, first of all, because they're just being introduced, and it was a kind of a demolishing match where Death Triangle win, and then they just lock everybody in these submission holds after the match, and then Chuck Taylor, Trent, and Orange Cassidy come down and chase off the Death Triangle. Then you get a Dustin Rhodes interview. I'll be honest, it's been a month ago. I don't remember, and I'm not going to go back and look. So that's that. It is what it is, man. I look way behind. Then you get Shawn Spears' partner package, which really was probably the best part of the whole Shawn Spears looking for a partner, because they had a lot of guys on the internet, a lot of guys that have wrestling channels, and they put up their videos. One of the guys was Simon Miller from What Culture. So I thought it was funny. It was entertaining. And like I said, honestly, probably the best part they've had there. So, very cool. Jon Moxley interview. Now that he's a champ, he knows he's got a target on him, and it looks like him and Jake Hager are going to have a face-off at some point. It looks like that's what they're building towards. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Adam Page and Justin Rhodes. This was Dustin wanting to get back at the Inner Circle for what they did to Nick Jackson, and also what they've done to Cody in the past. And so the tag team itself with Adam Page and Dustin Rhodes was kind of shaky at best. Inner Circle, they come out and attack, and then it kind of has this big standoff at the end where you've got Kenny Omega come out, Cody comes out, Matt Jackson comes out, and they push the Inner Circle back, and that's kind of where they ended the show. They had some good matches. There were a couple of things I wasn't the biggest fan of. Bea Priestley and Nyla Rose, I'm just not a fan of Nyla Rose, and she was kind of a concentration in that match. I think that the Britt Baker promos are stale. I don't believe her as a heel. Like I said, she just comes across too nice. So that is something that I'm kind of picking apart a little bit now. AEW, they're doing fine. They have solid shows every week. And this was no exception. They had some really good stuff on here. But now that the newness is kind of wearing off a little bit, it's like, what are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? And thankfully they are listening to their fans. Like when it came to that Nightmare Collective bit that was just terrible with Awesome Kong and Brandy Rhodes and Luther, they listened to the fans and they broke that up very quickly. And so I do give AEW all the credit in the world for stuff like that, like paying attention to the fans. I think that is hugely important for a company like this. This show, if I put it all in a bundle though and gave it a grade, it's not going to be as high as normal. And I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, which is still above average and definitely well above average. I think that they're still doing very, very good. But there are things here that I just kind of didn't necessarily work for me completely. So that's where I'm at with it. 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Kaged Nation, out.